Welcome to the live stream. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit here. Oh, too much. Look, go back a bit. Oh, way too much. Hold on. Um, that's good, I guess. Hope everyone can see it. And again, welcome to the live stream. This is Elon Musk, as you can see, and it's a meme, and uh, it's a new meme, and I'll read it out. It's says, unfortunately, well, it doesn't say unfortunately, but it is unfortunate that there's still no cure for cancer. But if 1 million more people pay the $20 Twitter X subscription fee, then billionaire Elon Musk will get much closer to his dream of becoming the world's first trillionaire. So, a lot of people subscribe to X, Twitter, formerly known as Twitter. And I know when Twitter was Twitter and not X, before Elon Musk saved the company, because Twitter was like, Elon Musk's favorite company, and Twitter was so abusive. It was literally just not letting people not letting people have free speech. And Twitter was extremely uh, very not letting people have free speech. And then Twitter was going under because everyone was leaving Twitter because they're like, well, this is BS. Twitter's not letting people have free speech, so Twitter should go under, rightfully so. And everyone was so happy that Twitter was going under because they deserved to go under. Because Twitter deserved to go under because they weren't allowing people to have free speech. And then Twitter was Elon Musk's favorite company, and so Elon Musk went in and he's like, oh, he wants to save his favorite company, right? Even though Twitter was being abusive and not allowing people to have free speech, Elon Musk went in and saved the company from going under because it was, I guess, Elon Musk's favorite company. So then Elon Musk bought Twitter and figured if he like rebrands it and changes the name, maybe people will forget how abusive Twitter was and how it didn't allow free speech. So I guess they changed the name from Twitter to X. And I mean, now Twitter has free speech as long as you don't criticize Elon Musk or criticize Trump and ask any questions. As long as you don't ask questions, criticize Trump or criticize Elon Musk, there's pretty much free speech on X, right? Um, so, but YouTube obviously is better. YouTube is the best. YouTube has been around for so long. And I remember when I was growing up, I used to watch YouTube for a lot of the instructional channels. And I recently discovered there's a whole channel teaching people how to be spies and how to do espionage. Really cool because I've always been fascinated by espionage and spies. And I saw a commercial when I was growing up, and the commercial was like on a history channel, one of those history commercials. And it was about this spy in World War II. And she was I guess, a bus. It was a bus or a train. And the train inspector, I guess it was a train, the train inspector was coming in and they were looking for like classified documents. They were looking for spies. They were looking for anything that would be smuggled, right? And she was so smart. And this woman who was a spy, what she did was she had these, like, I guess, blueprints. I think it was blueprints for the atomic, how to make the atomic bomb. I think it was the blueprints, right? And she had them in her purse. And this was like in World War II. In World War II, and she had the blueprints, and she knew that they were going through everyone's bag. So they were going to go through her bag, right? And they would find the blueprints. So what she did was she took out her Kleenex box and then she put the blueprints beneath the tissue of the Kleenex box. Very obscure place to hide documents, right? So, and then she put on the theatrics. She's a professional. She was a professional spy. She put on the theatrics, and when the train inspector came, she was pretending as if she'd lost her ticket. She couldn't find her ticket, and she was crying, and that's why she had out the tissue box, which underneath the tissues where had the document, the classified blueprints. And then she actually handed the tissue box with this valuable information that would have decided World War II pretty much. She handed the tissue box to the inspector and the other guy, like the guy that was with her, the security guard and the inspector, and she said, "Hold this." And then she, like while she was crying and she was pretending like she was looking for her lost ticket, and then she literally took the box with the tissues, very risky move, but it worked because it fooled them, and she handed it right to them, like literally put it right in their hands, and they're literally holding the tissue box. And of course they see a crying woman who lost her train ticket, and they think that's all that is. They think that's all, there's nothing more. And of course they went through her bag because they went through everyone's bag, but they didn't think to go inside the tissue box, go underneath the tissues, and if they did, they would have found the blueprints that she was smuggling because she was a spy. And what happened was they literally had so much power in their hands and they didn't even realize it. The train inspector was holding a box with such powerful information, and he didn't even realize it. He thought it was just a regular tissue box and didn't even realize that underneath the tissues were these blueprints for like the atomic bomb. And it's just so amazing because if this was how they were doing espionage in World War II, just imagine how much even more complex, more sophisticated, more like they're literally doing espionage right in front of people's faces, and people have no clue. Like people now these days have no clue for the latest techniques of espionage and how they're transferring information back and forth. It's quite fascinating and amazing. And I could never be a spy because in order to be a spy, you have to have really good communication skills, but you also have to have good acting skills. And I'm terrible at both. So communication skills includes not over talking and talking a lot, but communication skills is also includes knowing when to shut up and knowing when to not talk and knowing when to not say anything, which and then there's also times when you do need to speak up, right? So communication skills is not just, like people might look at me and say, oh, well, I can talk for hours. That doesn't mean I have good communication skills. If anything, that's bad because I tell people too much and I talk too much and I reveal too much. And like, for example, I had a great idea many times about things and I just give away the great ideas. I never try to commercialize them or I never try to patent the ideas. I just give them away right away because I just want to improve the world, right? Um, but so, yeah, so communication skills really is knowing what to say, when to say it, right? And being and having the acting skills to go with it, right? Like if I was on the train, I don't, and the train inspector was coming, I don't know what I would have done. Honestly, I don't think I could have been smart enough to say, hey, like, let me put it in the tissue box and then actually give it to the investigator, like the train inspector. Like that woman had balls because she literally handed him the box, right? And if she had been caught, oh, it would have been life over for her. She would have been in prison, maybe even worse, right? So it's really challenging to be a spy, Now these days, I guess spying has gone online. Spying has gone on the internet. Spying has a lot more is more online now, which completely changes the dynamic. right? It's totally different now. Like if that woman was a master of espionage, the woman was a master of espionage in World War II, but now if she was in today's time and when we have the internet, like she would be blown away at how she would be. So I was just looking at a comment. So basically, I I just am fascinated by spies, by espionage. I read lots of spy novels. I read like every day. I constantly have books. I literally was returning book at one point I was reading probably a book every 2, 3 days. I wasn't reading a book every day. I'm not like that, but I was reading probably a book. At one point, I was reading about 2 books a week. I was averaging a book every 3 days for about a 2, 3 months period of time. And then now I read a book about probably once every 2 weeks. I read a new book, a new novel every 2 weeks. And I just love reading about spies and espionage and all of the wonderful things that they do, because they're not just bad spies. I mean, it's not like spies are just bad. No, I know when a lot of people think, oh, that person's a spy, that doesn't mean that they're bad. They could be a spy working for your country. They could be a good spy. They could be a spy on your team. They could be a spy, a good spy. They could be a spy trying to help bring freedom or something, right? So just because they're a spy doesn't mean they're bad. And so I also read a lot of stories about good spies and what they do and their sacrifices for humanity and for free speech and for human rights and or even just money. But and so I honestly think that in today's day and time that we're gonna have a major issue because nobody is loyal anymore. Like just look at your circle of friends, okay? Look around you at your circle of friends. If you have a really good friend that you could say has been your friend forever and has been loyal to you, that's amazing. Make sure you keep that friend. But I would say estimate about 90% of people these days, they don't have friends anymore. Not real friends. They just have people who come and go, who use them and manipulate them and only come around when they need something. And I've seen this case a lot. I've seen it a lot of people admit that they don't have any real friends. It's really sad. They don't have a buddy. Like, they don't have a buddy that will come and help them when they need something, right? They just have users. They just have people that just hang around with you just because of status or just because to get money off of you, right? So, but now these days the problem with espionage is how can you trust these people because there's so much, like especially online in the world. See, so 50 years ago it was like you were a spy and you were a spy for one country. You either spied for Germany or you were a spy for Russia or you were a spy for France. But now in this new age of technology and globalism, suddenly you have spies that are one day they're spying for Russia, the next day they're spying for Japan. Like spies for hire, basically, doing specific jobs, and all they care about is the money, and they don't care who they're spying for and why. This is literally how it has changed now, and it's like there's no more loyalty anymore. Or they're not even spying for a country. They're spying for like a major company like Starbucks, or they're spying for like Coca-Cola, or they're spying for a major like what's that like the health insurance, for example. That CEO. Did you see what happened to the CEO of the health insurance companies? Right. So they probably have all types of spies in the health insurance industry, and they have pharmaceutical spies, and they have big pharma spies, right? So they have all these different spies now everywhere. Literally, you can't walk out the door without probably every day that you interact with people, you've probably there's probably a spy around you in your circle that you don't even realize. There's someone who you think that you know them, and everything that they do is an act. It's a total act. Everything that they say, everything they do, and you're being completely fooled by this person. You have no idea that they're really somebody else, you know? It's pretty scary. This is not pre-recorded. I am just doing a live stream because, I wanted to just have a nice live stream. I just got my live stream privileges recently. So I've only been live streaming for about 2 weeks. So what happened was it took me a while just to get 50 subscribers. And you can't do live streaming until you get 50 subscribers. So I've been making shorts and videos for a long time. And then I finally got 50 subscribers, and then I reached 100 subscribers suddenly. And so then when you get 50 subscribers, that unlocks your live streaming. So I'm not really good at live streaming yet. I've only been doing it for 2 weeks, so I apologize. And I'm just trying. I'm trying to work on my live streaming skills. It's not easy. It's not easy to just talk. And it's not easy to have a flux of different people coming in and out. Sometimes the people write things that are not so flattering. Sometimes the people will ask you weird questions or tell you information and just spill secrets about their country to you randomly. So it's not easy, and then I'll be talking sometimes, and then I'll accidentally say something like that it's maybe like not, I shouldn't have said that, or and I'm like, oh, what should I just now delete the whole recording, the live stream, or should I keep talking and just risk that, you know? I'm constantly worried I'm gonna like get charged for espionage. It's not that okay. It's not that I'm not loyal to Canada. I am loyal to Canada. But when the United States has beer and football and they have freedom and human rights, and Canada, you can't even make a social media post without them going crazy. And so when the United States is offering to rescue Canadians, and Trump's like, "Hey, why don't we just take over Canada?" And I'm like scared because I'm scared that I'm gonna go in the streets and be like, "Yes, America, come save us, United States, save us, Trump." And then the next thing you know, the Canadians are gonna like throw me in prison for being a traitor, because they really do that in Canada. Like they have laws in Canada. Like if you betray Canada, they can charge you for treason for real. Like you think it's a joke. It's not a joke. Like they've done it. They've done it to Canadians. Canadians have been charged with treason. There was a guy, I think his name was Jeffrey Delisle. Jeffrey, then Delisle, Jeffrey Delisle, and he was in the Navy. He was like in the Canadian Navy, and he sold secrets to Russia. He sold secret, and he got like 20 years in prison, in Canadian prison. So it's a real thing being charged with espionage. So you have to be careful online. I can't just, openly say I want the United States to come and take over Canada, and I want Trump to do exactly what he promised, which was like make Canada the 51st state. I can't just say that like so casually anymore. You have to be careful. So, I mean, they probably wouldn't put me, and they probably wouldn't charge me with treason for that. But I mean, if it was that combined with other things, like if I actually did help the Americans take over Canada in some sort of coup, right? Then, so you have to be careful. It all adds up, right? They could be building a case against you, right? They could be building a case. They could have you doing a recording where you're saying that you want America to take over Canada and Trump and whatever. And then what if they then catch you helping the Americans in some, well, so you have to be careful, just in general. So yeah, I did, but I what I'm saying is that obviously there are Canadians who are considering becoming the 51st state, right? Um, but since Trump is the one who put the offer on the table, it's kind of it's shady, right? We're kind of seeing who the traders are in Canada, but it's not really enough to take someone down for treason if they just say we want to do what Trump wants to do. Because a lot of Canadians, In fact, they're two-faced. Like the Canadians who are actually turning around and saying, "Oh, yeah, we agree with you, Americans." I wouldn't trust those Canadians because I know Canadians, and Canadians are backstabbers. The way Canadians operate is this is how Canadians are. I'm going to tell you. I'm a Canadian. I'm going to tell you how Canadians are. Canadians are nice to your face and polite because we're raised to be polite. And then behind your back, Canadians be doing all this like shit behind your back. That's the way Canadians are. I'm just telling it like it is, okay? Like, and I have Russian friends, and the Russian friends admit about what's the truth about Russia. In Russia, they drink. They drink vodka. In Canada, Canada is full of traitor douchebag backstabbers. And the United States has football, okay, and beer, okay. So I'm just telling the truth. Like this is the way Canadians are. They cannot be trusted on their face. They will be polite to you and they will be nice to your face because we are raised to be polite. We are raised to say hi, how are you? Good, goodbye. Like we are raised to be nice to people's faces, okay. But that just because someone's nice to your face, that doesn't mean you can't trust them. I know so many Canadians that would no problem scam Americans out of their life savings. Like these Canadians are full on scammers. Like they will scam through their teeth. They will scam Americans until Americans have no money left. So, how is it a nut job to consider what Trump is saying? Trump said he wants to make Canada the 51st state. There's a lot of Canadians who agree. There's a lot of Canadians who are sick and tired of Canada's politics and they don't want to be Canadian anymore. They want to be American. And Trump is the one, he's the president of the United States, the biggest country in the world, the most powerful. And the other thing about being Canadian is it's only considered treason if it's bad for Canada. That's the other thing. So I looked into the treason law. I looked into what it takes to be found treasonous in Canadian law. There's two aspects of it. So the first one is you have to be like doing something where it's like openly against Canada, but then it also has to be bad for Canada. And a lot of people can make the case that becoming the 51st state could be like the best thing to ever happen to Canada. So if anyone was ever charged with treason in Canada for trying to become Americans, the Canadian could turn around in court and say, look, if we became America's 51st state, that would be great for Canada. And so you could make an argument that it's a good thing for Canada. And then that totally kiboshes the treason charges because the treason charges only works if you did something to truly undermine Canada. And if you can turn around and say, look, Canada just became the 51st state. We got more money. We got better protection because now we're well protected by the United States. And if you can show all these good reasons that it helped Canada, then you can't really be charged with treason. And so that's the truth. So someone said there's a whole lot of yapping going on. Yeah, there's yapping because if like I can't just wait for people to come in because then it's like people will come in and they'll see me not saying anything. And if they just see that there's no talking, they're gonna leave because they're gonna be like, oh, there's nothing going on here, so I have to talk because if I don't talk, people will think there's nothing happening. So that's why there is a lot of yapping, unfortunately. But like I'm more than happy to interact with viewers. I just don't always get the viewers. So sometimes there'd be 2, 3 minutes where I have to just talk until the viewers come in. So, and then what else someone said? Canada is weird with someone said Chase said Canada is weird with freedom of speech. They say they do, but it really doesn't seem like they do. That's exactly the case. Canada, Canada claims everything. Canada says, "Oh, Canada has free speech." It's not true. Canada says, "Oh, Canadians, we're the nicest people." To your face, we're the nicest people, but no, it's not really true. Canada, oh, we got beautiful warm weather sometimes. Yeah, sometimes, but like 9 months out of the year, it's cold in Canada. There's a lot of snow. Um, so where's the to be determined guy? Are you still here? Because what specifically, you have to be more specific when you call someone, when you call someone a name. You have to, I need a why and when. Because I have no problem with constructive feedback. I just want to know what specifically. Because like I mean, it could be about anything really. I mean, it could be about wanting to be American. It could be about wanting to be the 51st state, or it could have been about when I was talking about inventing things and how to be like an inventor and how you have to think outside the box. So just tell me what your comment was specifically referring to. So I guess there was a guy, his screen name said to be determined, but it looks like he's not here no more. Well, anyways, he probably just would have been calling me names anyways, but I don't care. I just want to know what you thought was, not right. Just tell me. So anyways, I mean, that's the thing. It's a gray area. I mean, the whole world of espionage, it really is a gray area because personally, and this is the way I feel, the atomic in World War II, the atomic bomb was so destructive that I think it would have been better if it was never invented, in my opinion. And then you're gonna say like, oh, well, if it was never invented, then the Nazis, the Germans, could have won the war, right? And like you could turn around and try to make it sound as if I was rooting for those German soldiers, right? The tall, masculine, muscular German soldiers. But listen, I'm not just because I say that I don't think the atomic bomb, the most destructive weapon in all of humanity, should have ever been invented. That doesn't mean that I wanted the Germans to win, right? Although keep in mind that not all the Germans were bad. A lot of the Germans were nice people. To blanketly say, oh, all the Germans, like if for people who try to say, oh, all the Germans were bad, that's not the truth. That's not the case at all. There were many nice Germans, and they were fighting for their country, and they were fighting for the values that they saw as being right. They were invaded. The Germans were fighting people who had invaded their country. People had invaded Germany, and the Germans were defending their country from an invasion. That's really what happened. But I don't agree with everything the Germans did. And of course, I don't agree with everything the United States did. And I don't agree with everything Canada does. So just because I agree with a couple things that the Germans did, right, doesn't mean that I agree with everything the Germans did, right? Obviously, I'm for peace and I want peace. And there's a lot of aspects to Germany that are just wonderful, like Oktoberfest. If you've ever gone to Germany, if you go to Oktoberfest, like it is the most funnest experience. Like there's women, beautiful women with jugs of beer and they got sausages and everyone's dancing. It's really fun. So if you ever go to Germany, I really recommend Oktoberfest. And if you go to Berlin, Berlin is the capital. It's really cool. They got really cool museums, and they got some really cool buildings with like hidden secret entrances and stuff. They have like a research facility, like a zero gravity research facility in Berlin. It's really cool. It's kind of like a science center, but it's like a science center, like amazing science center in Berlin. It's wonderful. And then if you go to Munich, Munich is actually where um, I is it Munich or Bavaria? No, no, Munich. I think it's Munich. Anyways, no, no, it might be a different city, but I think it's Munich. Munich is the city where Oktoberfest was like originated, I think. So there was a city in southern Germany where Oktoberfest was actually originated, and that's where like the real Oktoberfest is held. And then they have like mild versions of Oktoberfest all throughout Germany. So that's an interesting fact. So if you go to different parts of Germany, you will get a different Oktoberfest experience. But overall, Oktoberfest, you can't go wrong. It's fun. There's beer. There's beautiful women serving beer and sausages. And everyone's dancing. It's a great time. So, but yeah. And then Vienna is the spy capital of the world. Vienna. Vienna is in Austria-Hungary. And Vienna, there's actually videos on YouTube, people explain about Vienna and how it's the spy capital. I also read in novels, a lot of spy novels about how Vienna is the spy capital of the world. So the reason, according to a spy novel that I read, the reason why Vienna is like the spy capital, it's considered the spy capital, is because Vienna allows spying, if that makes sense. It's like they have the they have the leaniest stance on spies, pretty much. So if you're a spy and you're caught in China or Russia, oh, goodbye. Unless you have the United States backing you, unless if you're a spy caught in Russia or China, if you don't, unless you have the United States backing you, you're done. Like it's over for you, you know. They throw you in prison and they throw away the key if you're a spy caught in Russia or China, right? The only people who have power to pull you back, and that's why, if you're American, be really proud to be American because when Americans get caught in China and Russia, Americans pull back their Americans, but Canadians, we are so flaky. Like if a Canadian gets caught in Russia, bye, you're Russian now. Canada will be like, we don't know him. That's literally like the Canadians, their attitude, like to like our own people. Like, oh, one of our Canadians got caught as a spy in Russia. We don't know him. Who's that guy? Like and then to be like, Putin, you should give him double the time. Like that's literally how Canadians' attitude. But Americans, they got each other's backs. If an American gets trapped in Russia or China, the Americans be like, and then Putin, he listens to the Americans. He doesn't listen to Canadians, Putin. What are we gonna do? Like throw donuts at him? Here's some Tim Hortons donuts and we're gonna make some angry hockey players. We're gonna make some hockey players angry. So that's the way it is. That's just the way the world is. And so yeah, so different countries, it's better to be a spy. And so Vienna is the leaniest. It's like it almost encourages spies because you pretty much if you get caught being a spy in Vienna, it's like a slap on the wrist. It really is. It's the lightest penalty. So if you're a spy and you're doing espionage in Vienna and you get caught, it's like you don't really have to worry. It's almost like a citation. You're doing espionage in Vienna, Austria, and you get pulled over by the police, and they write you up a ticket. I don't know. I don't know if that's exactly. I know it's lenient. I do. It is definitely not as harsh. I know this for sure. I've read it. I don't know if it's like I mean I might be under exaggerating a little bit that like they're gonna pull you over in Vienna and just be like, oh, here's a $10 ticket for spying. Here's a fine for spying espionage. But I mean that's pretty much what it's like in Vienna. It's like it's probably more than a $10 fine. It's probably like they question you, they probably put you in prison for a few days, but it's definitely not like 20 years hard labor. It's not like if you get caught as a spy in North Korea. If you get caught as a spy in North Korea, you're like you better learn Korean basically because you're gonna be in Korea for a long time if you get caught as a spy in North Korea, that's for sure. So and then another country you definitely don't want to be caught as a spy is Germany. because when I was in Germany, I wasn't like openly spyish, like I wasn't being like an open spy, but I was, working for Canada. Let's just put it like that. And I was in Germany, and man, the Germans, like, they made me feel so bad, when I got caught as like, no, I wasn't caught. I was like, basically, the Germans were like, feeding me beer and sausages. And then they're like, you really let us down because, we trusted you, And I'm like, okay, so what? You're gonna give me like 10 years for being a spy, right? In Germany? And they're like, no, you just can't come to Oktoberfest no more, and you will not get any beer or sausages. And I'm like, what? No, that's just a joke. I'm just joking. But I would imagine that the Germans are soft now. So I would imagine that if you did get caught as a spy in Germany, it's definitely not like Russia or China. Russia or China, you'll never see the light of day again. The Germans are definitely softer, I think. Because the Germans have this attitude, like, because everyone called them Nazis for so long, that the Germans want to be nice now. Like they want to be overly nice because they're worried that someone's gonna call them a Nazi. They'll do like the slightest thing. They'll be strict. They'll be just even just a little bit strict. Like, you have to write with a pen and not a pencil, and you'll be like, oh, "You Nazi!" Like, that's what I was worried when I was going to Germany. I was just worried that I was gonna get into a fight with a German and just call him a Nazi within 2 minutes. Which actually you're definitely not supposed to do. So the Germans are really embarrassed about that. So they definitely, you do not, I did read about this. You do not want to call a German a Nazi, right? Even if he really is acting like a Nazi, you don't want to say it because then, though they apparently they could even put you in prison. If you go to Germany and you call a German a Nazi, they could put you in prison for that. So that's a Nazi right there. In Canada, if you call someone a Nazi, uh, you know, they'll just probably call you a douchebag or something. But so yeah, so Germany is pretty fun. The Germans are definitely not as bad anymore in terms of they're not as strict. They're still strict. They have some laws. So it was really interesting when I was in Berlin. So this is a whole experience that I don't do. So I don't go to gay clubs or anything like that. I don't do that, and I don't know who those people are that go there. Cause like for me, what I like to do is I like to do like go on an adventure. I like to go sightseeing. I like to go visit like new buildings and hotels and stuff. I went to the science center. The science center was a fascinating, because the Germans really are leaders in science and technology right now in Europe. So if you go to Europe, being able to speak German is really great because it's like there's so many professors that are German, there's so many scientists that are German, there's so many physicists, there's so many astronomers that are German. And if you're able to speak German, you can talk to a scientist and in their native language, and he can tell you things about the universe, like just beautiful things about the universe that you would never have imagined. The way that they explain it to you, you know, it's kind of like you think that you know everything, right? It's like I'm sure everyone thinks that they know everything, but at the end of the day, do you know how a car work? You know how a car works? Do you know how a plane works? If someone asked you tomorrow to fix a plane, could you fix it? No, because you really don't know, right? And so if you actually sat down and talked with a real German astronomer, and he actually talked to you about space and explained it to you, you would really learn shit. And you'd be like, oh my God, I didn't know that. That's amazing, right? But see, everyone thinks that they know about space. They're like, oh, planet Saturn's there, and Mars is there, and Earth is there, and the moon's there. I'm good. That's like their knowledge of space. Everyone's knowledge of space is like, oh, I know all the 9 planets. I'm good. But there's so much more to space, that like if you just sat down and actually had a conversation with a real astronomer who studied space for years, it's fascinating. It's wonderful. So I think I love Germany for all of the scientific knowledge that is just science. I just love science, and Germany is definitely a leader country in science, definitely. So is Italy, but in Italy they're just so loud and even at the library. I went to I went to an Italian library and it was even loud at the library in Italy. It was just kind of I then also went to France because, Germany, France, Italy. You go to one, you pretty much go to all three because they're so close. Why not, right? So I went to France and it was the border. It was just kind of like the border. And it wasn't I wasn't there long. See, I can't speak French at all. I cannot speak French. And sounds funny because I'm from Canada and you would think that someone from Canada could speak French, but I cannot speak French. And so I only went to France for like one day and I just was curious and I didn't have a lot of time anyways because I spent most of my time in Germany and I was in France and they were like really they were all posh. They were all poshly dressed. They were like it was like they seemed like really rich people and I looked like a backpacker, like a just like a person who was backpacking through Europe, right? I didn't really look like a like a posh professional business person, right? And so yeah, I didn't spend a lot of time in France. But yeah, I love Europe and I love Germany and I love uh I think Canada could actually benefit from becoming more European, honestly. I think Europe should take us over. That's my opinion. I feel like the United States, as much as the United States means well, the United States is very different from Canada. Like we're very different. We do not do the same stuff. Like the United States does football, we do hockey. The United States does beer. We do beer too, but we also do a lot of coffee. And I don't think we drink as much as Americans do. I definitely think that the Americans drink way more than Canadians drink. And obviously, I'm not speaking for every Canadian, but you have to admit that in terms of drinking, yeah, you would probably agree. The Americans probably do drink a lot more than we do. We don't drink that much in Canada, in my opinion. We drink, but we not that much. And our politics are so different. Like our Canadians' politics system, political system is boring. There's like really never any scandals. And then America is like so entertaining to watch the American politics. It's like every minute there's a scandal. I would be shocked if there wasn't a scandal. I think that would what would be shocking. What would be shocking to me is if like the president could go 2 weeks without a scandal. Then I'd be shocked. That would be a scandal. The scandal would be there'd be no scandals. That would be like the biggest scandal of all. I'm like, what's going on? There's no cocaine and hookers. There's no there's no missing emails. There's no funny business under the table. There's no harmonica and there's no that's funny harmonica. I was referring to when Bill Clinton played the harmonica. I wasn't referring to what he did to Monica, but anyways. And or what about George Bush, and 9/11? That was a pretty big scandal with the 9/11 stuff. I mean, he did seem, I mean, but he was acting like a president. I mean, what would you expect him to do? Like start going crazy? Like, like that would have been crazy. It's funny how people are so like say one thing and then it's like they're speaking out of because people are criticizing George Bush for the way he reacted to 9/11. He was so calm, almost too calm. But he's a president. That's the way he's supposed to be calm. He's not supposed to just start going crazy and panicking. He would have made everyone panic, right? A president is supposed to take information and then react with the most like logical, professional response. And that's what George Bush did. George Bush He got the information about 9/11, and he didn't just start acting like a lunatic and start screaming and panicking like crazy. No, he acted like a president. And sure, the people turn around and then say, oh, he looked like a sociopath. He looked like he was in on it. He looked like he was too calm, like he didn't care. No, he's a president. He probably gets lots of information. He probably got even information worse than 9/11, and he had to keep a straight face, and he had to smile, and he had to keep up with the cameras, and he had to keep a poker face, you know? The president is supposed to have a poker face. The president is not supposed to, as soon as they get information like, oh, they hear an asteroid's about to hit Earth. Imagine if a president heard tomorrow that an asteroid was going to hit planet Earth, and then the president got on the TV and was like, started, making everyone panic. An asteroid's going to hit planet Earth, an asteroid, right? Imagine if a president did that. No. The most likely thing that an American president would do is if they found out that an asteroid was going to hit planet Earth, is they would tell nobody and just go into like their private bunker, which is, probably, that's probably what they would do.